star of professional wrestling, Calgary, Alberta, Canada. This is Wrestling is for Losers, the podcast that's not fake, it's predetermined.
What's up, losers? It's me, Shoe Boots, back again for episode 16 of Wrestling is for Losers. Tonight is our Summerslam review episode. We're going to look at the entire card. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about what we liked, what we didn't like, if we hated something. We're going to look at our predictions from last week, and we are going to see who is the winner. I purposely avoided adding them up in my head before tonight, but I'm feeling pretty good. So we'll see how that went. Now, also a little bit of news on AEW. Actually, big news on AEW. We're just not going to spend a lot of time on AEW this week because it is our SummerSlam review episode. But we'll talk about that in our news section. But before we get to our news section, let us meet our lovely co-hosts. Now, as per some requests from the prior couple episodes, we will begin by introducing our WWE shill. You know him as the best self-intro that you've heard so far in the podcast. It's Texas Crazy Horse. Hello, sir.
Hello.
Oh!
Yes, sir. So I am watching SummerSlam with my note, and I am actually writing in my intro. I had something about the liquid of the mat, all that good nonsense, right?
Yes. Liquid of
I
the
got
mat.
drunk. Hey, it was beautiful. I had it written down.
Okay.
I got a little drunk, and the paper disappeared. So just to let y'all know, this could have been the greatest intro, but it won't be, and it's not my fault. It's the alcohol's fault.
Right.
So don't drink and write intros.
Yeah.
And I do want to apologize.
People don't kill people. Guns kill people.
I do want to apologize. Yesterday, I listened to Vince Russo on a podcast. So if I bro you a lot, it's not my fault.
Okay.
All right, bro? All
right. Now, speaking of Vince Russo, our other co-host probably doesn't know who Vince Russo is.
No clue. No clue, bro.
Why?
I'm just guessing he says bro a lot.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Why? Because he hasn't watched wrestling in 30 years, but now he watches wrestling with all of his free time because he didn't realize what he was signing up for when he agreed to do this podcast. It is, ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Coltrane.
That's right, Boots. I had no idea what I was signing up for because it's been 30 years. 30 years since these eyes have seen the titans of the turnbuckles making moose milk on the mat of madness. These raging rhinos rocking and rolling ringside while their retinas burn radish red. These people, these picturesque people of power presenting pectoral perfection, inviting you to a puberty-packed party full of pizzazz, pain, and protein-pumped prima donnas. My name is Coltrane, and in this episode, we're talking Wham Bam SummerSlam.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am.
Very excited. Yes. You're welcome. You're welcome, sir. Very excited about this week. The big SummerSlam. I can't wait to dive in. It was my first SummerSlam ever, at least in 30 years that I can recall.
Yeah.
Well, from back in the day. So it was very exciting for me to be, much older man now. Like I said, I just turned 22, right? So, just hit 22. So watching SummerSlam now as an old man was excellent. Yes. It was great.
Oh, man. Well, yeah, I think it was, I'm glad we decided, we were originally going to use Money in the Bank for our WWE program. And we just decided in the end to go with SummerSlam. And oh man, am I glad we did. That was a great show in my opinion. Really well done. But before we get to SummerSlam, just going to see if anyone else watched Anything else this week? I'm not going to put you guys on the spot because I've done it before and I've seen your faces when I do. So I'm going to put myself on the spot
Yes.
because holy crap. I'm glad we're talking about SummerSlam, but I also wish, as I said last week, that we were following the ultimate bromance of the summer, MJF and Adam Cole, because last week was Dynamite 200. And I know I'm a broken record. I know I'm a shill. I know I'm predictable. But last week's Dynamite was effing nominal.
Wow.
It was
Woo!
so good. The hardcore match between the Best Friends and the Blackpool Combat Club, the thumbtacks came out,
Oh boy.
And I gotta say, like, between both companies, it was a great week for women's wrestling because we're going to talk about SummerSlam, but we had a title match for the women's title on Dynamite this week. Hikaru Shida challenged, oh my God, I'm blanking.
She challenged the other wrestler.
I can see her face in my mind.
I would love to
Saraya
say it, but I'm
and
not allowed.
Tony Storm.
Tony Storm.
Oh my God, that was embarrassing. I am bad with names. It's awful at work. Anyways, Hikaru Shida won. Hikaru Shida is your new women's world champion.
Whoa.
And they had the main event on Dynamite, and it was a phenomenal match.
That's
It was
awesome.
great. So yeah, that was really great. And I haven't got a chance to see Collision. Oh, a couple other things. They did announce. I think I want to talk about this before I'm just getting all my AEW stuff out now, so we don't have to come back to it.
Let's do it.
They did announce the main event for All In at Wembley Stadium will be MJF defending his title against his best friend, Adam Cole, because he promised Adam Cole, win, lose, or draw, you're my best friend. You deserve a shot at this title. And I'm going to give you the biggest event of all time. You're going to be in the main event. And it is just, the speculation is just who's going to turn on who. What everyone believes that one of them is going to turn on the other, and we're all split 50-50. Sometimes a single person is split 50-50 on who's going to be the one to turn on the other. It's going to be so glorious when it happens.
I think this is obvious. I got a prediction. Boots.
Oh, man.
Get him.
Here it is. Ready?
Yes.
MJF is now the babyface. Adam Cole turns heel.
Mhm.
Yes, it could be. It could be.
Cole will betray MJF. MJF is going to be crying in the corner, curled up into a ball, as Adam Cole steps over him holding the belt.
Okay, but
stands over him. I'm telling you.
But here's I agree with you. Well, this side of me does.
Yes.
And then
Which one?
Is that
The
my,
other side.
my left or your left? Anyways,
Right.
But the other side of me wants you to go back and watch the promo that he cut. He did this amazing promo where he went out and he said, "I haven't always been a good guy. I've struggled a lot growing up. I have a lot of syndromes. I have disorders. I have ADD, which a lot of people have, but I also have this rejection disorder that I actually can't, my brain doesn't process rejection the same other people do."
This is MJF saying
This is MJF saying it. He's like,
all right.
I get really upset, and I was bullied a lot as a kid. I was, I'm not going to repeat exactly what he said because he talked about dealing with anti-Semitic bullying when he was a kid, and as a Gentile, I probably shouldn't say it word for word what he said, but
Sure.
He just went on and on about how he put up all these walls, about how he learned that, like, I'm just going to be the scumbag first. I'm going to be the asshole first. And that way no one's going to hurt me. But then, and he talked vividly about the one that really sticks out in his mind is some kid attacked him with a roll of quarters.
Huh.
And that he'll never forget how that felt.
Wow.
But then Adam Cole came along and taught me to be vulnerable.
What?
That's what he said.
Oh my gosh.
So
This is hardcore stuff.
So here's the thing. Adam Cole turning would be a great storyline. Would not complain. However, the idea of MJF laying it all down like that and then having it all turn on him.
Oh,
Now, whether Adam Cole turns on him on purpose or it's a mistake, and it would just make MJF into like his most evil self. And the reason I mentioned that promo with the roll of quarters because I thought of this, but I was listening to Busted Open, which is a popular wrestling podcast, and I think it was Bully Ray on there. He's a wrestler who was a host. He had this idea, but I also had this idea, but I have to mention him so that no one's on here thinking that I'm just ripping off Bully Ray's idea. He had this idea that like the perfect piece, the cherry on top of all of this, if and when Adam Cole turns on MJF, is that he attacks him with a roll of quarters.
oh my gosh.
okay.
Boots. Oh.
I'm telling you, you both owe it to yourselves. If you haven't, anyone listening to owes it to yourself. I haven't seen Collision from this last weekend, so I'm not going to speak Collision this last weekend. Haven't had a chance to watch it yet. I will. But Dynamite 200 and the Collision from the week prior, like 4 days earlier, everybody who cares about wrestling needs to go and watch those 2 episodes, at least the MJF Adam Cole parts, because it is setting up what is probably going to be the most major storyline for the next 6 months of AEW. Most likely. So if you haven't, I know it's a lot of wrestling. We don't have time to watch everything. Go back and watch it. Go back and watch it. And I think a lot of the MJF Adam Cole stuff has actually been put on AEW's YouTube channel because they want everyone to see it. So you can start there. I believe that the entire promo he did is on the YouTube channel if you don't want to watch, if you don't have an hour to spare.
Did you see the Adam Cole hug where he does like the stab in the back? I did the same thing on NXT.
I read about this after the fact, and I want to go in and watch it. But yeah, so apparently he hugged in a way that motion stabbing in the back, which was a thing that he did in NXT to someone that he eventually stabbed in the back on NXT. Is that the story?
What?
Dude, it's so
It's good.
It's like a giant onion.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Layers. Yeah. Now, so okay, I'm done fanning. I also got to say, Raw was once again great last week. I know that we're recording this a couple days late, so another Raw has aired. We're not talking about that tonight. We're just going to act as if we're recording this on time. Raw was great. SmackDown, similar thoughts as previous weeks, but that's okay. Because SummerSlam was awesome. You guys, I've dominated too much time. I'm going to turn it over to if you guys have anything to say about anything outside of SummerSlam. But before I do, I just wanted to mention that today's the last day that I'm off my diet and intermittent fasting from my trip. So I found in the fridge a Coors Original, which I will be.
Yes, there it is. Drunk Bootsy. Yes. How sweet it is. I wanted to go off key there so we wouldn't get sued by copyright. You see, that was intentional.
I believe in the hit TV show Yellowstone, they refer to these as Yellow Jackets.
Oh, very nice.
Didn't know that.
Well, that sounds amazing about AEW. I would love to watch it, but Boots won't let me.
God.
Won't let you.
All right, we're back at the. You can.
No, I was not allowed. I mean, now I have to ask. Now that SummerSlam is over, am I allowed to now? I now allowed to watch AEW again?
You are always allowed to watch AEW. Yeah, you have to watch Impact.
Right, exactly.
No disrespect to Impact.
No.
Right.
You can always watch AEW. There's no scenario in my life where I tell anyone they can't watch AEW. Ever.
Right. WWE on the other hand, right. But AEW, right. That's always welcome.
Yeah.
Well, that is awesome to hear. AEW, for anyone's not watching it yet, you're still holding on to that WWE flag you refuse. It's worth checking out.
Folks,
I'm telling you.
You know who is the biggest losers in the wrestling wars? The fans that decide to be tribalist. If you love wrestling, love wrestling. Watch it. Complain about what you don't like. Praise what you do like.
Yeah.
But don't say like you categorically hate something because it's one brand or love something because it's the other. It's a mistake. Look at me. I agree. I've criticized WWE a lot on this show, but I also have had a really great time watching WWE, especially SummerSlam, for example. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can enjoy both because what you're doing is you're celebrating wrestling.
Yes.
Wrestling in general. So yeah, no, I completely agree. We can enjoy both. Like I said, it's wrestling. So I'm looking forward to, now that SummerSlam is over, maybe Boots will let me watch AEW.
He won't. I won't let you.
Okay. All right. Well, text me. So I'm screwed.
Now, personally, I watched SmackDown, Raw, and all that good stuff, but I got in the weeds a lot of like interviews and podcasts, getting behind the scenes stories with like Cody,
Mhm.
even Vince Russo, bro. And it actually was it was good to hear his side, because when everyone talks about him, it's always negative.
Well, we should for Coltrane and any similarly positioned listeners explain who Vince Russo is.
Look, he was one of the masterminds behind the Attitude Era.
Okay.
He's
okay.
also
Like a writer type guy that was
he's
brought
a
in.
writer.
He was a writer.
Head booker for WWE and WCW and TNA. But it was also, people give him credit for the downfall of of afterwards, after all the 90s hype.
Oh,
So,
wow.
And I think he's often credited with coming up with the vast majority of all the like really lowbrow stuff that they did during the
anything
Attitude
on
Era.
anything on a pole, they blame him for.
Yeah. Wet
on a
t-shirt,
pole?
like a stripper pole, you mean?
Yeah, is that what
Just
you
a pole,
mean?
just a pole. There
Like
is
any
literally-
pole.
Any
there
pole.
is
That's weird.
there is a
criteria.
match. It was literally a
Fireman?
crowbar.
Vince Russo.
Right. Two knights lancing each other, holding poles, charging on horseback.
Santa Claus.
He made a match.
North Pole. That's Russo.
He made a match. It was literally a crowbar on a pole match. And
Oh my God.
Okay,
shovel
yeah,
on a
right.
pole match. Anything on a pole.
I do
it's
know that.
Russo.
You're
Yeah.
kidding. Are you
No.
serious? Like laundry
I'm serious.
basket on a pole?
Uh-huh. Probably.
Crowbar on a pole?
That sounds like TNA.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm assuming TNA doesn't mean what I think it means.
It's-
It must stand
no.
for something else.
It's total nonstop action wrestling.
Okay,
But
thank you,
obviously,
thank you.
like they
Okay.
started with like, it'd be
Yes.
funny to call it TNA, but what could we actually make it stand for so that we
Right.
can say TNA?
Yeah,
It was on Spike.
They
So-
and they did change, like they're now Impact, right? They changed their name to Impact once they realized that wasn't aging well.
I think Jeff Jarrett sold the company, and that's when they changed it. I don't know.
I'm not sure. I don't know a ton about Impact Wrestling. It's actually, if I ever can find time to expand even further, I would like to dip into Impact, but I'm kind of at my bandwidth right now.
yeah, sure. Let's add it to the list, Boots.
Yeah.
I got another 20, 30 hours of wrestling to watch every week.
Yeah.
No problem. This is unbelievable. You know, you said in the intro of the show, you're right. It's been 30 years. It's something I'm watching 15 hours a week of wrestling. It's unbelievable. Like, oh, this is 4 hours. This is 4. This is 3. This is 3. Like, oh my gosh.
Okay, well, after this week, we are done
Yes.
our SummerSlam program. So here's what I'm going to. We didn't talk about this in advance, but I was thinking about this. I might as well lay this out right now.
This is the course talking.
This is the Coors talking. I think moving forward, we all have lives, and unless outside of anything that we say that we have to watch because of what we're working on, you just have to watch one show. That's the deal. If you want to watch Dynamite, if you want to watch Raw, if you want to watch SmackDown, if you want to watch Collision, you just got to watch one of those 4 on any given week moving forward.
It's not going to work. It's too late, Boots. I'm already ingrained.
Okay.
All right.
Well-
It's become the muscle memory. I got to watch all the wrestling now.
I know.
I'm too far gone.
I know.
I'm too far gone. You've
I
done
know.
this to me.
You're on
Both of
your.
you.
I know you're on your Temptation Island podcast referencing AEW Collision.
Exactly right. They're asking me about Temptation Island. Right.
So
I'm talking about Brock Lesnar's high pitched voice. You know, it's unbelievable.
It is.
So
it's not a good fit.
It's not a good fit. It does not match at all. The first time I heard him speak, I literally went, "Really, really?" Like it didn't match. It didn't match the beast. You know what I mean? I'm
That
glad somebody
means-
else noticed. I literally wrote that in my notes. Brock Lesnar, high pitched voice. I put that in my notes.
I appreciate that you listen to our other podcasts. Thank you, Shu.
The Temptation Island podcast.
Yes.
Yeah,
Appreciate that.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right. Let's talk a little bit about news, and we'll get right into SummerSlam. So, Couple kind of like, I guess you would say, cliff notes for WWE, but Roman Reigns was hurt in the SummerSlam match, and I just wanted to bring it up because it affects my critique of that match. But apparently he was injured. Dave Meltzer's reported that it's unclear exactly what his injury was, but he was hurt early in the match and worked hurt for about a half hour during the show. So
now I'm actually getting word it was a shoulder injury because he stood there holding his arm, giving the number 1 sign for about 45 minutes before the match started. Just standing there with his arm up for at least 30 to 40 minutes before the match started.
Wait,
Right.
Are you telling me you weren't doing that?
Well, that's true. And my arm got tired. I got a shoulder injury as well.
And by the way, the have we talked about the Trinidad and Tobago guy? He was there. Do you know about this guy?
No,
Is,
what are you
is that
talking
the
about?
green shirt guy?
There is
He's
a
my
guy. I'm presuming he's from Trinidad and or Tobago because he is in the front row of almost every episode of SmackDown and Raw and
love
most
this
pay-per-views for years now. I don't know where his money comes from, but he has for years been in the front row of roughly 90% plus of all WWE live shows. And he always wears a t-shirt with the flag of Trinidad and Tobago, and he holds a little Trinidad and Tobago flag.
I saw that guy.
You won't like now that I've
Right.
said it, you'll see him every week. He's
Yes.
always there.
There's another one right next to him. He wears a green shirt. Right next to that guy is the guy who wears a green shirt. I like.
Oh my gosh.
They're at every show. I always look for him every show.
It's crazy.
It's the same
Well-
spot too. So
A quick thing on Roman Reigns that I think what looked like an actual injury, and I actually saw him bleeding on the side, was when Jay threw him through the table on the outside of the ring and he snapped the table or he slammed on top of Jay. When they got up, you could see the jagged edges of the table, of the wooden table.
Okay.
But when they got up, if you look, you could see blood on Roman Reigns' arm.
I did see blood on his arm later on in the match, but I didn't know where it came from. So I guess that's
okay.
so
That
yeah.
was my guess.
No,
Yeah,
it's a good guess. Yeah.
yeah, because that
You
looked
want-
pretty hardcore.
you want to know my guess?
Hmm.
This is all BS. They're like, look,
What?
Roman wants the next 3 months off. We gotta
Well-
make him hurt.
Right.
So he
that
has
could
3
be that he
months
wants. I mean, let's face it. This was his first title defense since WrestleMania, and I'm going to predict his next title defense will be at either the next Saudi Arabia event or Survivor Series, whichever comes first. But he is confirmed that he will be at SmackDown this Friday in Calgary.
Woo!
I'll
Yes.
be there.
The true North Star.
Yeah. But he won't be wrestling. They're going to be doing, probably some thing where he talks for half an hour, and that'll be the entire show.
He might be bandaged up, and then we'd know.
Yeah, I guess we'll see. But yeah. Also, we talked about this before, but it does appear as though Ronda Rousey is in fact done with her WWE run. She has commented in social media that now that Shayna Baszler has submitted her, she sees no reason to stay. So she could be kayfabing it up a bit, but I think at the very least she is going on an extended hiatus. So that's it for that. Now, quick AEW news. This is kind of old news by this point, but it is the first time we've been able to talk about it on our show. We'll just touch on it briefly because it is a really big deal. The Elite have re-signed with AEW for, quote, years to come, end quote. So that includes Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, and Hangman Adam Page. A lot of people, including ourselves, have been wondering if any of them might jump ship, and they're not. So there you go.
So look forward to seeing Kenny Omega get stabbed, bruised, more injuries to his face,
Hey,
back, body,
he
legs.
Of course you didn't see Dynamite 200 because Kenny Omega won.
What? No.
Yeah.
You're hilarious. That's not possible. He always gets tortured. Oh my God, they killed Kenny. Every week I've watched AEW. That's the thing. All this hype about Kenny Omega, and every time he's getting a screwdriver to his forehead.
Well, I think that's
Every
all
week.
over now. The Blackpool Combat Club Elite feud is officially over. They've shaken hands in mutual respect, and they're moving on. So, and I haven't seen Collision, but I believe that FTR has challenged the Young Bucks to All In Tag Team Championship, which would be, I think we can
That'd
all
be the
agree, the
rubber
biggest
match,
possible. That would be their rubber match, and it would also be the two biggest tag teams
Yep.
in AEW, I would argue, in all of wrestling, because WWE does not really focus on tag teams that much. So,
All right, hold on a minute. Newbie alert. Newbie alert.
yeah.
What is a rubber match?
Oh, a
Ooh.
rubber match.
Never heard of it.
A rubber match is when two people have wrestled each other twice in the past and have each won once. And so a third match is going to happen to determine who's the better team. Now, this can happen organically, as it did with the Young Bucks and FTR, where they've wrestled twice in two separate programs, months or like a year and a half apart. Or it can happen the way it happened with Cody Rhodes and Brock Lesnar, where it's most likely it was planned from the start to have a rubber match. That they said there would be a program where they wrestle 3 times,
Right.
ending at SummerSlam. So Cody Rhodes won his rubber match at SummerSlam. FTR and the Young Bucks are going to be having a rubber match at All In, it sounds like.
And why call it a rubber match? Why did they go with rubber? Any reason?
I don't.
Because
Yeah.
a metal match just sounds too hardcore.
Metal match.
Rubber
Well,
match.
Blood and Guts doesn't? Come on.
Well,
I can't honestly tell you where the term comes from, but in my mind,
Yeah.
it just kind of feels like, well, it'd been bling bling back and forth like rubber.
Right.
oh, that's
Yes.
a good idea.
That makes sense. All right.
So
I'm satisfied. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Because you guys have mentioned rubber matches in the past. I'm like, all right, I have to ask.
Hey,
I've never
that's
heard
a
rubber
good
match.
question. That's a good question.
Thank you. Thank you, Tag.
The
Because
only-
it's been 30 years since the Titans of Turnbuckles have made moose milk in the Mad
okay,
of
all right.
Madness.
back in your day, Hulk Hogan didn't have rubber matches because you won everything. So
True.
you didn't know.
Gave him the boot.
The only shame here on these signings, I wanted to see Omega in WWE, but
I'm sure a lot of people did.
it makes it makes sense that they stayed. I didn't really think they were leaving.
I mean, I'm ecstatic that they signed, but sure, there is going to be a piece inside of me that's like, man, it would have been great to see Omega versus Roman Reigns someday, and
Yeah.
now it's probably never going to happen. You know?
No.
But wasn't Omega with AEW at the beginning?
Yeah, but
Right.
like,
That's only 4 years.
Well, he's been taking screwdrivers to the face for a long time.
oh my god,
He was there from the beginning.
He's
He's been dealing with that every week.
He was world champion for a year, which means he didn't lose for a year. He
Oh.
he at one point held 4 world titles.
What?
He
Kenny
had
Omega?
Kenny Omega simultaneously, and he would walk in with all 4 belts. It was hilarious.
Oh my god.
He simultaneously had the AEW World Championship, the IWGP, which is the New Japan World Championship.
Right.
He had the Impact World Championship, and I think the Ring of Honor World Championship. I think he had all 4 of them. I might be misremembering exactly which belts he had, but he had 4. It was hilarious. And
Oh
he was
my
playing like
gosh.
this douchebag heel. It was when I fell in love with Kenny Omega. Like, and
Well, no, you're right, because you know the history. So everyone's like Kenny Omega. I only know Kenny Omega for the past 2 months.
We've talked about this before.
We have.
You can only really appreciate the wrestling that
Yes.
you experience, and then
Yes.
it just seems really foreign when someone tells you about an era that you're not familiar with.
True. But I will say I can recognize the power of Kenny Omega and how he takes those thumbtacks to the back and the screwdriver to the face.
Right.
Does a phenomenal job. So I can see the talent.
Okay.
No, he's definitely got it. I can tell he's awesome. I honestly really like him. I just it's just amazing to hear all this like stuff about it. I've only seen him being tortured every week by the Combat Club. So
Well, I think. Sorry, Tex, you were trying to say something.
I
No,
already forgot it. It was-
awesome. So the
oh wait, I do remember. I remember. He was walking around with 4 belts that didn't matter though. Let's be serious.
oh my god,
I
Oh,
can go
boy.
buy a belt right now and call it the World Championship.
dude, I got.
That would be a championship.
Come
Isn't
on,
CM
dude.
Punk kind of doing that? Isn't CM Punk
That's
kind of doing that right now?
Exactly.
No, but the thing
Woo!
that was so cool about what he did is that like they didn't just make up 4 belts. They didn't just like
Right.
have Paul Heyman carrying around a blue one and a black one while he had a gold one. It's that they actually reached out to every other major promotion that was willing to do business with them and said, we're going to take our top guy in our promotion and put him on your show as if he can have your belt for a while. Like it was an
Right.
awesome, like and it's what led to the Forbidden Door events, right? Like it's like one of this beautiful thing about how AEW has really kind of spearheaded this era where outside of WWE, and I'm still hopeful that someday WWE might be in the mix for this, although it seems like far-fetched. But AEW has spearheaded this movement where all these other promotions are like playing nice with each other, and they're lending their wrestlers to each other, and they're cross-promoting, and they're kind of raising each other up, right? Like they're making each other matter. I think it's really cool.
That's awesome. That's awesome. We need more. Again, celebrate wrestling. Wrestling.
Yeah. All right, whatever, Tex. Anyway, also interesting, Rob Van Dam made his AEW debut. What? Again, a guy that you probably know nothing about, Coltrane, but he's a wrestling legend. We're not sure if this is a long-term thing or a short-term thing, but he's going to have a match this week, so I think maybe we'll save this and talk more about it next week because we got to move on. But the last thing that I did want to mention it because it's kind of crazy that it happened. But the last thing is Tony Khan is teasing that the AEW library could be on Max in the near future.
I'm sorry, what's Max?
Max is like the HBO Max, the new streaming service.
Oh, right. So at HBO Max, right, is now they went with Max rather than.
Yes, they went with Max. They got rid of HBO.
Yes, right. Because forget HBO. It's not a common household name or anything. Let's go with Max.
Right. They only lost 3 million subscribers.
Yeah, you're right. It's no big deal. You're right.
No
but
big
they might
deal.
get them all back because, as you said, Tony Khan might bring the whole library to Max.
He went on a tangent about how they have thousands of hours of content and how it's going to have a home. It deserves to have a home, and his dream, he said, is that it would be on Max, and that he says that's up to Warner Brothers, who we know is his business partner. He did say that Warner Brothers this is a new development as far as I know. He did say in passing that Warner Brothers does currently have the streaming rights for the AEW library. And Warner Brothers does own Max, and so
all right,
we'll
I'm
see what
excited,
happens.
man. Get to see Rob do some Van damage. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
On Max. That'll be awesome.
All right. I know I kind of whirlwinded through that, but I want time to talk about SummerSlam.
Woo!
Now, SummerSlam. The biggest party of the summer, second biggest wrestling event of the year, probably across all companies. I mean, except for this year, because All In's coming, let's be real. But generally speaking, it is the biggest event of outside of WrestleMania. And there's been some great SummerSlams. There's been some not so great SummerSlams, as is the case. But I gotta say, this SummerSlam, I don't want to get too deep into how I felt about it. I think I've already said that I enjoyed it. But I think that we need to start with the man who has never seen a SummerSlam before, and just like we did with AEW at Double or Nothing,
Yes.
Coltrane, what were your initial impressions of SummerSlam? The wrestling, the stories, the spectacle itself. Give us your impressions.
This was a main event. This was a spectacle. Like you said, I thoroughly enjoyed SummerSlam. There were some moments that I felt didn't quite work, that were like, I know what they were going for. I'm talking about the Cody Rhodes Brock Lesnar match, but there were so many hits, so many pops that I thought were absolutely fantastic and amazing. I thought the wrestling was great. I thought the storytelling was great. And I gained a lot more respect for a lot of wrestlers, including Logan Paul, even.
Right.
Went up for me. Like, this is a guy I don't want to like, but I gotta admit, the guy can wrestle.
So you understand what we were saying, how like it's annoying that he's good, right?
Right. Yes. He's actually fantastic.
Yeah.
In fact, I know we're going to get in the match, but I think that he should have had a clean win. I don't think he needed to have the cheat because I thought he was wrestling so well. I think he's phenomenal at this. He really has a gift for this. He's got that eye of the tiger. I know that's cheesy, but he's got that killer instinct. He can jump 50 feet in the air off the top turnbuckle. Unbelievable, but incredible athleticism. And he has great matches. I know you talked about how he might need to do more of the choreography, but I don't care as a viewer because I'm seeing a fantastic match. So overall, SummerSlam I thought was a huge hit. I really enjoyed it, and it was awesome for me to watch this for the first time. I got chills, I got goosebumps, I got excited watching it. So it was a great time. And I'm looking forward to diving into the matches, see what you guys thought and all that. Now, Tex, you watch SummerSlam. You're a big WWE guy. You're the big shill. So you've seen many SummerSlams over the years. Shoeboot said there's been some good ones and some bad ones. Where did this SummerSlam land for you?
I want to start this off with a little story. Back in the day for Christmas, all I wanted was an Xbox 360. Yes. I wanted one so bad. And when I got to the day of Christmas, I opened it up, and it was not an Xbox 360. It was just a regular Xbox, but like a special edition one. Now, hey, it was cool, but it wasn't an Xbox 360.
That's a classic parental mistake.
A classic, right?
Get you the wrong video game system. Yeah.
I was devastated. Yeah, the Xbox is great, but it's not what I wanted.
And you as a child understand that it's a 5-year commitment to that system.
Yes, exactly. Now,
sorry, I'm interrupting.
As a fan of wrestling, a huge fan of WWE, we're told WrestleMania is 1A, SummerSlam is 1B. SummerSlam, it's not the second show. It's right there, WrestleMania. That's what we want. And then you just put on a B-level pay-per-view card. I was very disappointed.
Whoa.
And not the matches, I thought they were all fine. It was fine. It was good. But it wasn't what I was promised. It's not here at the very top. It was just acceptable.
Wow.
I did not see that coming.
Wow.
Hey, I gotta be honest. Be honest.
Tex.
Now, how much were you drinking that night?
Right.
Okay. I started on the Logan Paul. And don't
it's
worry.
A 4-hour show, right?
Don't worry. The drinking will come back up later. We will talk
in more ways than one. We got
yes.
Amazing. I was not expecting that, but
wow.
I agree.
Wow. I'm kind of like, I'm really interested to go through this with you because I think it was overall a pretty stellar show. Like I was kind of like, wow, that was.
Yeah. I think if this is Fastlane or Payback, this is an amazing card. But I don't think it's good enough for SummerSlam.
Okay, so I do disagree with what you just said about how SummerSlam needs to be up there with WrestleMania. I have never seen it that way. It is always the B show to me. Like SummerSlam, that's why I would have been mad if Roman Reigns lost his title at SummerSlam, because it's not the show of shows. It's not the showcase of the immortals. That is WrestleMania. This is just the biggest party of summer.
Right. But if Triple H and the company is telling us, hey, we want SummerSlam, we view SummerSlam as 1B. If you view it that high, you gotta book it that high.
He's right.
So,
all right,
bad booking.
He's right.
Well, okay.
Well, let's get into it. I want to hear what Tex has to say.
Yeah. Okay. Let's start. We've talked about Logan Paul. Well, Colt did a bit. Let's talk about this Logan Paul and Ricochet match. Opens the show. Pretty. What I thought. My first impression was, wow, that's a brave choice. Because, Ricochet is a mid-card guy. Not going to complain about him, but he's a mid-card guy. We both have talked, like Coltrane, you and I have talked on, I don't know if it's last episode, but we recently talked about how we're fine with him, but we're not invested in the guy, So, and Logan Paul is Logan Paul. So it was an interesting match to open with, but I got to say, I got invested in this match as it went on. And there was great spots, which we expected from these two, but it was just well done. And Logan Paul plays a great heel.
Yeah. And he seemed to be embracing it this time. He was, gesturing to the crowd like, yeah, come on. Like it seemed in the past, he didn't seem to like the boos, but now he seemed to be much more embracing of it, which I think is great for his character. I think that's a good way for him to go.
Yeah.
What were you going to say, Tex?
Logan Paul requested the first match because as soon as the match was over, he flew across America to be at his brother's boxing fight.
Right.
From what I understand, Brock Lesnar wanted the first match, and they told him, you can have the second one. So
Right.
maybe some Logan Paul Brock hate going on. We'll see.
Yeah, I don't know.
It was fun. It was a good match. I thought Logan Paul did great. That Spanish fly thing on the outside of the ring was awesome.
Yeah.
I don't understand how you can just flip like that. It doesn't make human sense. I thought the ending was good because it didn't bury Ricochet. Because let's
True.
be serious.
True.
If you're a wrestler and Logan Paul beats you clean, you see where Triple H views you. You're not ever going to be a main eventer.
And I think the other thing too is like Logan
Good point.
Paul's one of these guys that sort of comes and goes. Like, will he be around this week? Probably not. We probably won't see him for a couple months. So you can't really it's hard to come back from it if he wins clean. You can't have a part 2 or you can't continue the feud because he just kind of shows up for a match and then he's gone for a while.
But I thought it was good. I enjoyed it.
Excellent.
Yeah. Now, who did we all predict is going to win this match? Well, we all predicted Logan Paul, and we were all correct. So we all get a point. We're all playing real nice so far.
Woo! All right.
Cherish this moment. You're batting 1,000.
Yes. I didn't do so well at the old Money in the Bank. So so far, I'm already doing better than I was at Money in the Bank. So we're looking good.
Let's not forget Daddy is the defending champ here.
Yes, you are. You are the defending champ.
Good point.
I just want everyone, the millions of people watching us, to know
the
that.
million. Okay.
Excellent.
Okay. Well, great start. I thought it was risky. You always want a big match to open the show, but not so big that it overshadows the rest of the show. So it's a bit of an art picking that perfect match to open the show with. And I thought this was risky, but these guys, huge credit to them. I feel like they both sort of punched above their weight and really set up the pace of the show in a really good way. So huge kudos. Now let's move on to what I said last week was my most anticipated match, which was Cody Rhodes versus Brock Lesnar.
Yes. The Beast.
The Beast. Now, this was not a bad match, in my opinion. I didn't hate this match, but it wasn't their best match. And this is sort of the risk when you plan a rubber match. When you plan a rubber match, that means that they've already had 2 matches. And I got to say, the match they had at Backlash, I don't know if we covered it on this show, but that match was phenomenal, and they did not top it, which is unfortunate. That was the downer. But I enjoyed the match. I thought like the whole kicking him out of the ring all those times for the 10 count was kind of went too long. What'd you guys think of this match?
At first I thought the same thing. I didn't like it. I didn't like the whole 10 count for okay, let's move on. But when I would watch someone break it down, I was like, you know what? I don't hate it as much as I did at first. I like Brock. I just love how big and mean and just juiced up he looks, and he just picks up 200-pound guys and throws them around. I can watch Brock wrestle every day. I love Brock. And Cody is just phenomenal.
Yeah. Brock Lesnar, his neck has a neck. Oh. Like, that's ridiculous. Like, that guy is the biggest, meanest. Like, it was just crazy. Like you get into a ring with this guy, it's unbelievable. I did not like this match because I think what was happening for me, and I think the reason they kept doing the Cody out of the thing is that I think they wanted the audience to start chanting Cody, Cody, but they weren't. They were chanting with the referee, going 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Over and over. And then they're like, okay, let's try it again. They throw him back out there and then start chanting Cody. And he was like 1, 2, 3. And like even and the idea was they were playing on the emotion, like stay down, you don't want any more of this. And it's like, oh, Cody Rhodes, he's just gonna keep fighting, he's the people's champion. Doesn't the audience want to cheer him on? No, they want to count with the referee to 10 on his way out. So it felt like a miss. It was a miss. It was like, it was supposed to be this, and it could easily have been, but the crowd was kind of going a different way with it. And I agree. I think the reason it felt long is because you weren't having that emotion that they were trying to get, that he's so beaten down. He's David versus Goliath, but he keeps crawling back in. He's like Rocky Balboa fighting the Russian. You know what I mean?
They kind of overdid it a bit, I think. Like they shouldn't have made Cody look that weak compared to Brock.
Yeah.
Because it almost made it unbelievable when he finally won the match, you know?
Yes.
Yeah,
it happened so quick all of a sudden.
Yeah.
He did 3 of the, was it the crossover? Is that what his move is? Or
Crossroads?
Crossroads. Yeah. And by the way, Brock was so big, he could barely even do the move.
Yeah.
Because Brock's body's so huge.
Now, one thing I had an issue with is it wasn't fair to Brock because it was 3 people against 1 on this match. You had the ref who clearly let Cody use weapons. He grabbed the stairs and hit Brock with it, and the ref's like, whatever. And
saw it happen, yeah.
And the person who made Brock shorts clearly was a Cody fan because those shorts did not make it to that match.
That's true. I was thinking, I think this is why they called it, is the shorts, right?
Shorts incarnate.
That's hilarious. I noticed that too. What happened to his shorts? Right.
Go ahead.
I think like when I gotta say, like, I really enjoyed this Cody Rhodes Brock Lesnar program overall. I think there were some really huge dramatic moments. We saw some for SummerSlam, but there were some awesome ones basically ever since WrestleMania. They've had some awesome moments, and some of them we didn't look at on this show, but I watched them all and I really liked it. My one kind of lingering complaint that actually kind of made me kind of like raise my eyebrow a bit in the end. So in the end, what happens? They shake hands, mutual respect. Cody gets a smile on his face. I won him over. It just felt like Brock did such horrible, horrible things to him for a quarter of a year. I just don't see Cody taking the handshake. Like, he beat the crap out of him in front of his mom. Like, you know, like he, like the brutal, it broke his arm leading up to their second match. He turned on, by the way, he turned on him for no reason. It was basically implied it was going to be explained at some point why Brock turned on him at all. It never was explained. We don't know why Brock attacked Cody Rhodes repeatedly and aggressively for months. Like, there's no explanation at all. And I suppose he could have explained it in a way. Like, I think the story, when I see them shake hands at the end, Brock probably could have, maybe he couldn't have done the promo. I don't know, but he could have come out and said at some point, like, you got to earn my respect. Like, that's what this is all about, that I'm going to treat you as lower than me. Because I do think that, like, if they are building this story to Cody fighting Roman Reigns at the next WrestleMania, that, like, this is like a huge stepping stone, right? This is like he's earned Brock Lesnar's respect, and Brock Lesnar is wishing him well as he climbs further up toward on his mission. But I will say one thing that could have made this match better was if they put the belt on Cody at WrestleMania.
Oh my gosh. Oh, there it is. What are we?
Could you imagine how great this would have been? It would have explained why he attacked him. He wanted the title. He wanted the title.
You're 100% wrong. The reason you're wrong is because if it's a title match, it's going to be 40 minutes. Do you want to hear the rev count to 10, 9, 17 more times?
No, but you don't do that in the scenario where it's a title match. You don't put that in, and you actually don't have a rubber match in that scenario because you don't want Cody to drop the title to Brock and win it back. You just have one match with a long build-up.
Now, that end of the match where Brock, goes head to head and gives them a handshake and all that, from what I'm heard,
I heard this
Triple
too.
H, Triple H called me, he told me Brock did that by himself. It was not planned at all. And if you see Cody's face right when Brock comes in first, you can see that Cody doesn't know what's going on. And then he catches on and they play up to it. But
Yeah.
there was a split second. Cody's like, "Oh, what the heck is
Right.
he
He
about
looks
to
freaked
do to
out.
me?"
He's going rogue. What's happening here?
Yeah. Yeah. Supposedly that was not planned. Like Tex was saying, that was all in the moment.
That's interesting. Well, if that's the case, kudos to Brock. It was a good choice, despite any criticism I might have. Speaking of in the moment, at this moment, I've ran out of Coors original, but and there was not another Coors in my fridge, unfortunately. But there was a Shock Top.
Here it comes. How sweet it is.
Belgian white.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I have so much to say about this next match. I'm so excited.
Okay. So yeah, Cody Rhodes. I think it was one of those things where when you plan WWE does this, they plan rubber matches, right? It's a months long program. I feel like it came up a little short in the end, but overall great program. These guys had a lot of chemistry together. And so I hope that in the long run that this doesn't kind of tarnish that it was actually a really good program overall.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
All right. Speaking of the next match. Wait, before we move on to the next match, for Cody Rhodes defeats Brock Lesnar, I predicted Cody Rhodes would win. Coltrane predicted Cody Rhodes would win, and Tex predicted Cody Rhodes would win.
Hey!
We're all still perfect score.
Dead heat. You know, we could just end it right now if you want.
Right.
I mean, I'm feeling great. We could just end this right now.
All right.
I agree.
Well, I know Tex agrees because the next one is the Slim Jim SummerSlam Battle Royal. I think we can all agree the highlight of this was the commercial for Slim Jims afterwards. But
Yes, that's what I was gonna say. Yes. I'm so glad you said that, Boots. I cheered when I saw this commercial. Tell the audience what it was. It's incredible.
All right. So for those of you that don't know, if you're the age of myself and or Coltrane, I'm not sure about Tex, he can let us know. You would remember as a child being inundated with Slim Jim commercials starring Macho Man Randy Savage. And he would do things like he would come up with a bag of chips and he'd be like, chips! And he'd rip them up and throw them all over the place. And he's like, you need a little excitement? Snap into a Slim Jim! And he'd chomp into a Slim Jim, and they were just insane, coked up Slim Jim commercials, basically.
Yes. And he'd do it, and he would go, "Oh yeah,
oh yeah!" And they'd like bite into it, and be like like something would. And so they basically did a Macho Man style Slim Jim commercial, and they actually had clips of the old Macho Man commercials within it, but it was starring LA Knight and Bianca Belair. And it was like just as stupid. Like it was like this nerdy science teacher trying to teach the kids, and they're snapping into a Slim Jim, which is obviously causing like a tornado in the classroom to blow away the teacher for no reason. Like it's perfection.
It was amazing. Right. And then what's so brilliant is at the end, you've got Macho in the original going, "Oh yeah." But in this one, you've got the chink, and then he goes, "Yeah," with LA Knight. And then the explosion. I was like, I literally cheered. I was so happy. I cheered. Brilliant. Whoever came up with that, genius.
So good. It's not often that I'm a fan of WWE's blatant product placement and sponsorship, but in the case of Slim Jim, I will always make an exception.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is very iconic.
It is.
All right.
It's Slim Jim.
So, Colt, take us through the.
Okay,
Slim
I got a
Jim's
couple of
Battle
questions.
Royal. Okay,
the old Battle Royale. Number one, who is the unit? Who is the giant?
Almost.
This is the biggest man I've ever seen in my life. I think on literally planet Earth.
Yep.
Who was this guy, and where does he come from?
Nigeria. To answer the second question first,
Nigeria.
This is Omos, and this is
Omos.
we might have touched on it. I don't even remember if we touched on this show or if it's a conversation that you and I had in Vegas. Because when we were in Vegas, you'll recall there was a couple times that we spotted Satnam Singh. We were at the MGM Grand, and we were staying at the same hotel as all the wrestlers. And I'm sure that we actually, unbeknownst to ourselves, were within close range to lots of wrestlers at many times without even knowing it.
Yeah.
But one time we always knew we were in the vicinity of a wrestler was when we were in the vicinity of Satnam Singh, because the man is a tower. And I can't remember if we were talking then or if we were talking on the show, but you asked me, like, what's with this guy, Satnam Singh? And I think I said something to you along the lines of, like, well, there are these cases where these promotions, Vince McMahon's very famous for this, but clearly AEW does it too. They find these massive human beings and they think, wouldn't it be amazing to take this insanely just over the top, ridiculous human being and put them in a wrestling match?
Yes.
And so AEW did with Satnam Singh, but WWE does that with Omos.
Oh,
and like
the guy's like 7'4", like 420 pounds.
He's just insane.
And he's muscular, and he's also like agile. Like he looks like the guy that's like the Guinness Book of World Records holder, but like he can barely walk. Like,
right.
This guy like can literally wrestle. Like it's such a huge difference. You know, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, he's insane.
Yeah.
I don't know who's taller, him or Satnam Singh. They're both probably pretty close, but yeah, he's a monster. And the other thing about Omos that I find is interesting is he looks sinister. Like he looks scary, and it's really funny because if you ever kind of read about him like out of character, he's like this really nice guy who's into anime. Like he's just
really?
Yeah.
You're kidding.
Yeah.
So. Well, I'll tell you, I YouTube recommends, right?
Yeah.
And it got on a Rhea Ripley tick. And so all I've seen of Rhea Ripley is, her in the Judgment, like all hardcore. But in person, she's like super nice and like, oh, hey, thank you so much. I appreciate you watching. And like, thank you, But on WWE, she's like, I will destroy you. Like, it's incredible the character that she plays. And again, Rhea Ripley, like amazing. But anyway, back to Royal Rumble. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. I'm a huge fan of Royal Rumbles. I thought they did an excellent job. And also one thing that I liked is there was always action. Typically, in these Royal Rumbles, you have your main players that they'll do some stuff at the beginning, and then they'll just kind of like hang out on the side of the ring.
This is a more recent development that I really don't like that happens in these matches where people like just pretend to be weak on the side for a while. If you go back and watch the old, like from the 90s, they're always pretending to be doing something, even if they're just being out of the way. They're not just laying down. So that didn't. Yeah, I'm with you. I visibly noticed that wasn't really a thing in this match. So
yeah, which was excellent. And I mean, it just shows how huge LA Knight is, and it seems to be that that WWE might finally be recognizing this, probably because his shirt is like completely sold out on the store and everything. Like he's just massive. But I was a huge fan of this Royal Rumble. And Tex, I mean, what did you enjoy this? Was this a big hit or was this a big miss for you?
So this match is about to start. My first drink is empty. I go make me another one. Jack Daniels and a Diet Coke because I'm on a diet.
There it is.
I sit down. I'm all excited. And then they're oh wait, there's only 29 people in here. We're missing one. And then that's when Almost comes out. Now, Coltrane, I'm going to get a little closer here for you.
Yes.
There is no way in heck, because it's in PG,
he
was supposed to be the 30th person.
Yeah. Although
no one cares about Omos. No one. I'm a WWE shield. Triple H calls me all the time. I don't care about Omos. No one can convince me otherwise. That was not supposed to be someone else. And we got screwed out of Randy Orton returning or Bray Wyatt. Randy was there at the event and something happened. I guarantee that was supposed to be his spot.
Oh, gosh.
So I'm already 2 drinks in. I haven't had alcohol in a while.
That's not even based on anything.
I'm not done yet. I go into this match a little upset. I'm like, it's
Right.
annoying me. But hey, Chad Gable, he's doing some things, right?
Yeah.
I love Chad. Shush, please. I
He's
love
really
him.
on a good run right now too. Yeah.
I want him to win the Royal Rumble. I love this guy.
All right.
And then I see Austin Theory. I'm like, wait, the United States champ's in this? And it's not until the end of the match that we find out that he's in this match.
True.
So that was a little upsetting. Two things I liked about this match. There's 3 things. Look, I'm already going up on it.
I love it.
3 things I liked about this match. 1, I saw stories develop in the middle of the match. I enjoyed that. The stories that they can build on, or stories that they've started that they're building. I like that. I'd like that LA was able to get that top rope on Sheamus that they messed up the other night. I like he was able to rebound on that.
Right.
And I don't even remember what the third one was. So I'm back down to 2. Maybe it's that LA night one. I'm glad he finally acknowledged that. But I don't know. There was something else supposed to be there. I just have a feeling.
Right.
I know Braun Strowman. I lose a point for not even
Whoa, spoilers.
guy being there.
We'll get to the score there, champ. But I mean, you were throwing a softball and you decided to let it sail by. That's on you.
That's true. That's
It
true.
wasn't my
We all knew
fault.
LA Knight was going to win this.
It's not my fault. LA Knight was supposed to win Money in the Bank. He was supposed to win US Tender. I figured he's going to keep losing. Why not?
Right.
Right.
Sorry. I'm getting a little emotional.
Okay. Well, I thought this was great. I love me a battle royal. Slight
Yeah.
production note: it's a battle royal. Royal Rumble is a specific kind of battle royal that happens once a year. But this was a traditional battle royal in which all participants started the match at the same time. The Royal Rumble is a unique battle royal in which people enter randomly throughout the match. But I thought this did exactly what it needed to do. It gave us a battle royal as like a fun break from like we just had 2 matches. We're gonna mix it up, change it up a bit. And it's just fun. Like you get to see all these wrestlers come in. It's a good chance to showcase everybody on the show.
Yeah.
You get a few spots. It develop some stories, but it also really pushed LA Knight, and I think that that's important. And I
Huge.
think that as we go on in the next few weeks, I'm hoping that this is the push that he's finally going to get. And the fact that they featured him alongside one of their top female wrestlers in the Slim Jim commercial makes me think that they know they got something there. So,
right. And it's so brilliant. Oh yeah, with the but like the crowd when LA Knight went up against Omos, like everyone just went crazy, including me, like the big guy. And I know no one cares about Omos, but I mean, how can you not? I mean, the guy is just mad, and it took everyone to get him out of the ring. Like that reminded me of old school WWF, even way back in the day. You know what I mean? There was like some big guys, like Andre the Giant.
That's used to be how they got Andre out of them in all of them, right? Like
yes,
that was
that's
the only.
Right.
If you didn't do it, he was going to win. If it gets whittled down to not enough people to get him out, he's winning the battle royal. And that's all there is to it.
Yeah.
And I loved, like, I just think that, like, yes, it's an old trope. Yes, but it's like a nostalgically great old trope. And the idea that he came in and he immediately started wrecking face. Like, he immediately started, like, throwing people out.
Right.
And, like, because I know sometimes, and this happened a lot, you're probably not familiar with Paul White, but he was another huge, like, large-sized wrestler that was in a lot of Royal Rumbles during his career. And he often would, like, the way that they got him out is, like, he would go running at someone and then they would pull the rope down and he would go over top.
Oh,
and
that's awesome.
It was awesome once, but then it became like a thing where, like, for several years, he was just not really a threat in the Royal Rumble, whereas he should have been the biggest threat in every Royal Rumble. And they did a really good job. Like, Omos is sort of, he is a wrestler that he doesn't have a lot of wrestling skills. This is usually the drawback when they find these huge guys. When they find these huge guys, these are huge guys that either know nothing about wrestling or at the very least have no training on wrestling. So they're often not good wrestlers. And that's sort of the downside to these really big, huge guys.
Yeah, but he's also 7'3".
Yeah, but if you've ever seen Omos in a singles match before, it's not always great. Let's just put it that way.
Right.
But they did a really good job of making him appear as a massive threat. And everybody sold it well. They made him, and he eliminated several people right out of the gate, which like really upped the urgency to deal with him. So I just really liked how they did that.
Awesome. Very good. Very fun match.
Yeah.
If you ever call him Paul White again, I'll flip.
Oh my God.
Oof.
It's the Big Show.
No, it's Paul White.
Well, it's the Big Show.
When he walks out in AEW, it says "No more BS" on his entrance.
He doesn't walk out on AEW, does he?
He has.
When?
He's wrestled in AEW.
Yeah, but when? I haven't seen it, so it doesn't
a couple
count.
years ago.
Yeah,
No.
he's
Jax
the Big
right.
Show.
If he
It's the
hasn't
Big Show.
seen it, doesn't count. Yeah, that's true.
Big Show they called him the Big Show in WWE. When he left WWE, he did not take that name with him.
And that's why it says no BS.
No more BS is like
right.
his
Oh, it's genius. That's pretty good. That's pretty great. No more Big Show. Love it.
So all right, let's get to the scores. I predicted that LA Knight would win. Coltrane predicted LA Knight would win. Tex predicted Braun Strowman.
Yeah.
Who I didn't say anything last week because I didn't want you to change your vote. But Braun Strowman had massive neck surgery a few weeks ago.
Look,
He's not showing up anytime soon.
if you don't remember, if we rewind, I thought we would all be wrong. I thought it was going to be Bray Wyatt or Randy. I was dead set.
You thought we were going to be wrong, and so you picked someone that you thought was going to be wrong? Is that what you're saying?
Just in case, let me throw a name out there that could win it.
Yeah, let's.
And it turns out he couldn't. Turns out he was watching it like I was.
Right. He literally could not win it. Right. But he was in a neck brace. Right?
If it was me, I would have been out there. I'm just saying.
That's true.
Oh my God.
That's awesome. I get the logic.
I don't. All right. Moving on. Okay. Next match. I think it's my turn to talk about it first. And I will. The next match was one of the more interesting matches of the night. Shayna Baszler defeated Ronda Rousey in what was ultimately they called an MMA rules match, which there was no pins. You could only win by submission or knockout, a technical knockout. So this was really interesting because one thing we didn't talk about earlier is that this had an amazing 11th hour buildup in the week leading up to this. They did those, I don't know if you guys saw it. They did those like kind of video segments.
Yes, they were great.
Really got me invested. And it was interesting too, because both Shayna Baszler and Ronda Rousey did awesome in them. And so like, without having to be in front of a live audience holding a microphone and not having to yell, but just be in like an interview section and probably being, properly directed by a director and stuff like that. They both did really awesome promos leading up to this match. And it made it really interesting and like way more interesting than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Now the match itself, I ultimately think didn't work. I think that it was a really interesting idea, but it just didn't. I mean, the crowd didn't really get into it. It's just we're used to seeing high flying stunts and like over the topness. So when you do like a work MMA fight, there's nothing there because we all know that it's a work. Like we all know that it's fake. And so part of the buy-in to fake wrestling is that it's exciting to see. But UFC is not actually that exciting to watch. It's exciting because it's real, right? Like that's what makes it exciting, in my opinion. I'm sure there's going to be someone that might disagree, but I'm generalizing. Like I think we can all agree that you're going to see way more crazy stunt, high-flying, ridiculous moves in fake wrestling than in real MMA fighting. So now that being said, I'm not poo-pooing on this match. I really applaud that they tried it. Like I don't think it worked, but I'm super stoked that WWE is willing to take the chance on it because WWE usually plays it safe with this stuff.
Yeah.
And I think it was a really cool experiment to try. And these were probably the best two people that you're ever going to get to do this experiment with. So
Yeah, and it was. I liked it at the beginning. I thought it was really cool. Somebody took a knee to the face. That looked legit. I don't care who.
I know.
I mean,
I didn't say we're going to talk about this week's Raw, but Shayna Baszler shows up with a pretty bad black eye on Raw this week. She
No
took a
kidding.
legit knee to the face.
yeah,
Yeah.
that looked very, very real in the moment. I'm like, that really looks like that hurt. So, but the only thing that kind of threw me off was it kind of felt like MMA at the beginning, which I was kind of into, but then it was like combined wrestling. Like they were doing like some of the moves and some of the slams, and it just seemed like a weird kind of combo. But I agree, it's nice to try something new and different, but it was like combining, if they just stuck straight MMA, with, obviously the results being whatever, but it was when they started to add some of the flip moves, they tried to do some of that stuff. And that's just kind of what took me out of it a little bit.
Yeah. I think what could have made it work is if they just said it's MMA rules, but all that means is that no pinfall, right?
Right.
Like
right.
you have to win by submission. Right. Like, and sure, let them dress up. They both came out in like UFC style outfits.
Yes,
Like do that
yes.
too. That's great. But like make it a wrestling match just with no pinfalls. I think that could have worked a lot better.
Yeah. And a real quick thing, I just wanted to say that the promos were fantastic, and hearing Shayna Baszler talk about how Ronda Rousey refused to ever be her training partner and all that stuff, huge build up. And I think you're totally right. Having them plan that way it really got me invested in the match. Sorry, go ahead, Tex. Let's hear it.
All right. Now that y'all are done saying your bad opinions,
Yes.
at this point of the night, I'm still my second drink. It's only halfway gone. I was a little upset at the match before, but LA won. I love LA Knight. So I love Ronda. I'm a huge UFC MMA fan. So I was excited for this. Halfway through this match, you can look it up. You can't really. I DM Chris Jericho. I'm like, I apologize. You did not have the worst match of this year anymore, because this was hot garbage. This was the worst match I've ever seen. And thank God Ronda's gone. Because if this is what you're going to give us, I don't want you on our show.
Are you sure you don't have a Jack Daniels with you right now?
I got the name of the show. The name of this episode is going to be Tex Turns Heel. Just so you guys know.
Right. Exactly. It's perfect.
It was, like I said, being a huge MMA fan, I know what it looks like. I know the motions. They were literally just walking through these moves. It was boring. Crowd was dead.
Was dead.
Yeah.
The crowd didn't get it. I didn't get it. And by the end of it, like I said, I messaged Chris Jericho. I finished my second drink. I'm getting a little wobbly now.
Sure.
At this point, I sent my wife to make the third drink. I'm like, if this is what I'm going to have to deal with, I need more.
Right. You couldn't even get off the couch at this point, right?
At this point, I was like, oh my God. Jeez Louise.
Wow.
Tex turns heel.
I almost put AEW on. That's how bad this was.
Oh yeah, Collision was on at the same time.
Yeah. I was like, I want to see what Punk's doing right now.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
All right. Well, I predicted Shayna Baszler would win. Coltrane predicted Shayna Baszler would win. And Tex predicted Shayna Baszler would win. So we all get a point, which gives at least two of us a perfect score so far.
Booyah. There it is. That may change coming up, unfortunately. Maybe.
Speaking of which, let's get into some belts. We next had the Intercontinental match. The Ring General Gunther versus the Scottish Warrior Drew McIntyre. That is my Scottish accent. You're welcome. Now, I gotta say, this match. Well, it's not my turn to start. Tex, it's your turn to start. What's your take on this Intercontinental Championship between these European powerhouses.
Now, I'm a little feisty at this point in the night,
Sure.
right? But like I told you earlier about Brock, I love big men slapping man meat.
Right.
And
Who doesn't?
that's all these people do. I loved it. I had no problem with this match. It was perfect for me. I love Gunther. I love Drew. I can see them two and Sheamus fight each other every week. I love it.
Yeah.
Nothing bad to say here.
There you go. All right. A rally from Tex.
Cool.
I also enjoyed this match, but I realized I might quickly lose this because you guys brought up a point last week where you said WWE's really big on titles, and now they want to like have their title people continue longer than the famous people that they did in the past. They want to establish their own thing. So near the beginning of the match, they were like, Gunther, he's like 2 weeks away from beating Bret the Hitman Hart for longest Intercontinental Champion. He's only
man.
two. Oh, was it Honky Tonk Man? Oh my gosh. All right. So I'm on my third Jack Daniels, right? So there I am. Hammered at that point, right? So yeah, so they made a point of that at the beginning of the match. And when I heard that, I was like, all right. Okay. All right. I know what's happening here. I have lost. I know where this is going. And it was over. So it was keyed up by the announcers for me.
Yeah, this match, I got to be honest, like of all the matches, this match in my mind, and this is just my personal mind, was kind of doomed from the start because there was no way I was going to be satisfied with the outcome. Because if Gunther wins, well, that's what I was expecting because it's WWE and they want him to beat this record. And so I fully expected Gunther to win, and it would not be exciting if Gunther won. Even though I love Gunther, and I think he's amazing, and I think he should be world champion in the near future. Like within the next 2 years, I think he should be holding one of the 2 top belts. In fact, I would love to see him dethrone Seth Rollins at some point and get that belt. That's how good I think he is.
Yeah, he's
Drew
great.
McIntyre, I also think belongs in the main title scene and has no business being in the Intercontinental title scene. Therefore, I would have been disappointed if Drew won. So I was going to be disappointed either way. And that kind of stunk because they both put on a hell of a match. So it's no fault of either of them that they were poorly booked, in my opinion. And so that was put a dampener on what was otherwise a great match. I don't know how I felt about Gunther winning relatively clean over Drew McIntyre. I kind of felt like it probably should have been a bit of a more tainted victory because I don't think Drew needs to be below Gunther on any level, but it is what it is. What I will say is Drew is such a established star at this point that it's not going to hurt him that much to lose to Gunther. So
right. And he brought out the sword. I got to see the sword for the first time.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Can we talk about the real MVP, Ludwig Kaiser? The way he catches that jacket.
I totally know what you're talking about.
Dude,
Awesome.
he like spins it. Mwah.
Dude,
Chef's kiss.
I would watch that over the Ronda match.
Right.
I love Ludwig Kaiser, and I think it's like he plays such a good stooge to Gunther. Like the other guy, Giovanni Vinci, he's fine, but he's like just a stooge. Like Ludwig, you could tell like his star is rising. The day will come where he can't really be Gunther's underling anymore because he needs his own singles matches and stuff like that. So we'll see what happens with him, but he's awesome. And he looks like such a turd.
Oh,
you know, like
yes, yes.
Like he does the I don't know what he does. It's just really German. Like
very, very German.
like Ludwig Kaiser, like when they were naming this guy, they asked Chat GPT, just give me the 2 most German words. And we'll just name him
together.
Ludwig Kaiser.
Right. It's perfect.
Like
that's
awesome.
No,
I love him. He's awesome. And again, no spoilers for Raw this week, but I think they're going to do some fun stuff with him in the next little while. So
nice.
Yeah, so that's where I'm at with this match. It's a shame because they're both great wrestlers who put on a great match. But let's get into the scores. I predicted Gunther would win. I was correct. And
Yeah, we could just go over text and then just move on. I think we're
Coltrane
good.
predicted Drew would win, Drew McIntyre,
Yeah.
and Tex predicted Gunther. So Tex gets a point.
It's the
So-
hairy chest. Right,
So
Cole?
I don't want to harp on the scores at this point, but just only one of us has a perfect score
Hey,
so far.
This isn't fair. Coltrane saw the hairy chest and he had to pick him.
Right. No, you're the one that likes big dudes slapping some man meat. Right. I guess I like some hairy meat, I guess. Right. I like man meat covered in hair. That's what I'm all about. Yes. I actually don't know why I picked Drew. Like, after watching it and talking about it now, I don't know what I was thinking.
I think I know why
obvious.
you picked Drew. I think because you hadn't seen him before, and so and he's got a great presence. And not
Right.
knowing his history, you saw this huge guy come in, who's by the
Yes.
way like 3 inches taller than Gunther, who's a big guy,
Yeah.
and he impressed
Crowd went
you.
wild.
He impressed you because he is a top level star.
Yes. Yes.
That's
but
why.
I didn't know about the belt. It was the belt. It was the honky tonk man. When they said that, and you're right, I was like, it's over. It's over.
So yeah. I would say it's a credit to Drew McIntyre that you felt that way. Like he deserves to be in a much better. Now I get that he's coming back from injury, so it's not
Sure.
like I expect him to be on the top of the card. I just don't think he should be fighting for a mid card belt at this point in his career. Anyways, we got 3 more matches to go. Let's talk about the world heavyweight title. Seth Rollins defeats Finn Balor again. I think is it
I think it's you.
is it me? It could be me. All right. Well, again, great match, but not that exciting to me because we just saw these guys fight at Money in the Bank. What was fun was the whole thing that they did at the end about the briefcase. Is he
Yes.
going to turn in the briefcase? And I thought they did a really fun thing that I personally didn't expect, and I don't think very many people at all expected, but this idea of like Damian Priest came out trying to help him, but his distrust got in the way, and then Seth Rollins ended up curb stomping him onto the briefcase.
That was awesome.
Awesome way to kind of deepen this rift between Finn Balor and Damian Priest, while still kind of protecting everyone involved in the match. So yeah, I don't have a ton to say about this match, if I'm being honest. Like it was a good match, and but it was more about the briefcase than about the match. So
Right. Interesting. And I gotta admit, guys, I'm starting to get a little tired of the Seth Rollins. Whoa.
Yeah. it's a bit much.
It's starting to get to me a little bit. He's standing in the middle of the ring for like 20, 30 minutes. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous. But I was really impressed by Finn Balor. I thought his wrestling was fantastic. He had this great pop of energy towards the end there. And then when they were going at it and they were both exhausted, and then Damian Priest came in, I was like, oh my gosh, because I could feel how exhausted these two guys were in the gym. I thought that was a huge moment when Damian Priest came in. I'm like, of course he's going to cash it in. Here we go, you know.
Yeah.
But I was really impressed by Finn Balor. And at the beginning of the show, I was talking about certain wrestlers in my mind really went up. And for me, it was Finn Balor.
Okay.
I always in the past looked at him as this guy's Tyrion Lannister from Game of Thrones. And I don't think he's tough. I don't think he's got presence. But he really impressed me at SummerSlam. I thought his wrestling was excellent. I thought he had a lot more presence. Really popped for me this time around. Tex, what do you think, bud?
And how many in are you at this point?
I'm pretty, because I went hard after Gunther because I was just so excited. I was drinking. I think my wife got me my 4th one, and I was like, you know what? This is probably the last one. I told her, don't give me, if I ask for another one, just forget about it. Okay.
Right.
So,
don't listen to me.
Don't listen to me.
Right.
I like all the callbacks to the 7 years ago where Finn Balor got hurt. I enjoyed that. I like good callbacks. I like the briefcase thing. I did like when Damien at the end, it just zoomed in on his face.
Yeah.
You're like, what is he thinking? And you don't know. I am scared they're going to try to break up Judgment Day here, and I don't want that to happen. It was a good match. I have nothing bad to say about it. I thought they played it a little safe in some parts, but I did like the head stomp. It was good. It's good.
I also think they kind of have to break up Judgment Day because it's the same song and dance every week at the beginning of Raw. One thing WWE is doing, and this is something I'm noticing, but tell me if I'm wrong. It used to be Seth Rollins, like Monday Night Rollins, right? Where Seth opened the show every week for like 2, 3 in a row or 4 or 5. And now Judgment Day opens every show. And it's the same song and dance. They each have their I'm this, I'm that, and then the boo from Dominic and Rhea Ripley. And it's the same exact note. So I think that they need to break them up just to get some little, change it up. It's the same.
And I don't think they have to get rid of the Judgment Day, but they could shake it up a bit, right? Like maybe Finn Balor's out and someone else is in or something like that. I don't know.
They could. I'm not mad at that idea.
I almost forgot though. We've got to talk about that insane jacket that Seth Rollins wore walking into the
right. The outfit.
Like that thing was more puffy than a cadaver in a slough. Like it was just
right.
What was that thing?
Yeah.
Like, at some point, is he in the back just saying like to costume, just what is the most insane thing you can think of to put on?
More fabric, fabric. Right. I think I saw that dress on like Project Runway or something.
Probably.
Right. Yeah, that was insane. Because usually I'm like, Rollins is amazing that he can make anything work except that one. That
was just insane.
Yeah, that was pretty intense. It came out. Totally agree. It's so funny you were thinking that. I was like, what is this? Yeah.
Like my wife, she's not big on wrestling, but she loves it when Seth Rollins comes out. I can't wait to show her that get up.
Oh, totally. Amazing.
All right. Well, I predicted Seth Rollins would win. I was correct.
Oh boy. It's been a little rough.
Colt, you predicted Seth Rollins would win. Congratulations.
Good job, buddy.
Woo.
Tex, you predicted Finn Balor would win. Oh, bummer. Now, I don't remember if we said that we should get points if our Money in the Bank predictions were correct or not.
Yes,
We did? There. Okay, well, at this point, Colt, you did predict that Damian would cash in, and he did not. So
right,
you don't get a point. But
okay. That would have been a nice bonus, though. That would have put me tied with Boots again.
Yeah.
You're beating me, so don't feel bad.
Now,
I feel great.
Wait a sec, though. I predicted... This is interesting because I predicted that Damian would not cash in. Do I get a point for that?
On the notes, it doesn't show that.
I know, but we know that I said it.
I didn't listen to that episode.
I don't think I was there that week, so I'm sorry.
Do you want your victory to be tarnished? Is that what you want? Do you want an asterisk? Do you want an asterisk beside your name?
Look, how many am I behind? How many am I behind?
You're 2 behind currently.
Yeah, don't worry about me.
Okay.
There's 2 matches.
Yeah, but they're okay.
That's true.
Whatever. I'll save this fight. If I'm about to lose by 1 point, I might come back to this argument.
There you go.
Okay.
There you go.
All right. Now I will say, much to my shock, the highlight of the night, the women's title match, Bianca Belair, and we'll get to the Io Sky part after the match itself. But Bianca Belair defeats Asuka and Charlotte Flair to, at least for a while, become the women's WWE champion. Tex, I want to start with you because there's been too many times where Coltrane and I have been gushing over a match only to have you take a dump on it. So
true.
Let's start with you here.
And clearly you eat a lot of corn, by the way. My goodness. It's unbelievable. All right, sorry.
I almost lost my shock top there.
I saw that. That's right. Exactly.
So I am 4 drinks in at this point. I see Charlotte Flair coming out, looking, circling all the fireworks, whatever.
Then you threw up.
Nope. Next thing I know, I see Roman putting his hand up in the air.
Oh no!
You have no recollection of the best match of the night. Oh my God!
I missed all of it.
Texas,
and you didn't go back before the show that we postponed specifically so that I would have time to watch it.
It's funnier this way.
Don't you see? It's better this way, Boots. Don't you see?
Right. That being said, I hated it.
It was terrible.
Actually, I quite enjoyed it. I needed about an hour nap. I was getting pretty sloshed.
True. This was the revival you needed.
Yeah.
Oh my God, dude. You missed
So-
out.
So, Boots, let's talk. Tell me about the greatest match of the whole night. What was it that really popped for you?
Here's the thing that I think is so special about this match. There are so many spots during this match that were great between the three of them, really kind of like really doing super cool stuff that would probably be very difficult to plan, but you could only do in a three-way match with three people, like constantly getting the upper hand on each other. But what I think was really great about this match is that much like the Shayna Baszler and Ronda Rousey match, this match started with a disengaged and disinterested audience. And I think it's because we can all agree the build-up to this match was not great. We all complained about it. And I think that the audience was kind of like, we've been here a while. We've seen some good matches. We're kind of laying low. Maybe we're going to go to the bathroom because we know Roman Reigns is next.
Right.
Kind of quiet. And then all of a sudden, so I'm watching the match and it's like, kind of like, I don't know. I always have this feeling like there's a part of me that no matter what I think of the build-up, what I think of the wrestlers, I always want it to go well for them. So it started off with me feeling kind of like, it's too bad that the audience isn't really into this. And then I just started, got over that, watched the match. And at one point I realized like, I'm kind of getting closer to the edge of my seat here. It's pretty good. And then at some point the audience starts to titter.
Right.
Like, and at some point they organically won over the audience and were getting huge pops by the end of and this is before any of the briefcase stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like this is, and just awesome stuff. And like all three of them doing awesome stuff and building up to like this awesome ending where they came up with this ending that like, in hindsight, I was like, well, I probably should have saw that coming, but I really didn't. And they managed to do this thing that basically protected all three of them, right? Like Bianca Belair, we all thought like they just totally played up this huge injury to her to the point that I thought it was real. When they started walking her off, like they did a really good job of selling that injury.
It looked real to me. I think it was personally, but go on.
I don't think it was real once she moved back. Like if she was really injured, they would not have let her go back to that fight. But she runs back and she gets the win in a way that she's leveraging the fact that Asuka spit in Charlotte's face at that perfect moment.
Right.
And then catches Asuka by surprise. So it like protects everybody. And it's just perfect. And it felt so awesome to see Bianca win because, spoiler, none of us predicted Bianca was going to win this. Nobody's getting points this round.
Right.
So it was just so good. And then, and I think it was just one of those things where like, it was over and I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, crowd went crazy.
That was a hell of a match. And then Io Sky's music hits. And it was like, I totally forgot that was even a thing because I was so into this match.
Yes.
But of course it's a thing. And she comes, I'm like, oh my God. And she's running down. The crowd
went crazy.
And they've just spent a half an hour telling me that Bianca's leg has been turned to rubble. So of course we know before she even gets to the ring that she's going to win. It's perfect.
It was in the crowd. I mean, you're so right. It was like it started out small, and then by the end, people were standing up there going crazy. And one thing about this match that I hadn't really seen. Now, I haven't seen many three. Okay, I'm going to say it wrong. Three-way matches.
You can call it a three-way, but
okay,
it makes people giggle.
Yeah, exactly.
Triple threat is the
triple threat. Thank you. Because I'm like, I don't think they're calling it a three-way. So a triple threat match was that they were all three involved, like in these wrestling moves. Like one person would jump off the top rope and hit both of them at the same time, or like all three were somehow like flipping around and involved. It wasn't like two people fighting while one person's injured. You know what I mean? It seemed to be much more of a triple threat, so to speak.
Right. Like they really capitalized on it and didn't just like fake that somebody was out of commission
Yes.
most of the time and just have one-on-one wrestling kind of
Yeah,
thing.
exactly. And I thought that the injury personally, I thought was real. And then she had to come back because they're like, you're supposed to win this. Like, you need to come back.
Oh, I mean,
you know what I mean?
I mean, maybe we'll learn some more behind the scenes, but I the
Right.
minute she went back, I thought there's no way it's real, but
Right.
who knows?
Yeah. But it was a great match. I completely agree. I think Tex, was in La La Land, dreaming away. A phenomenal match, and that camera was perfect. Right when Charlotte Flair got sprayed, and it was just this perfect shot. It was like, oh my gosh! And if you look at that time, the crowd's on their feet. Everyone's going crazy.
It was so perfect because they had spent so much time building up this knee injury on Bianca Belair that, like, I know you might not be as familiar with Charlotte Flair as maybe me and Tex are, but I know her finisher is the figure eight. Like, I know that her finisher is a submission move that leverages the knees. So like in your mind, you're like, oh, this is how it's going to end.
Yes.
Right. Like, this is how Charlotte Flair is going to win in a way that protects Bianca Belair.
Right.
And so you're waiting for it. And by the time it happens, you're so like, oh, there it is, that you just forget.
Yeah,
of course, Asuka has this gimmick where she spits in your face, right? Like, it doesn't even occur to you.
Right. And just like the Money in the Bank either. And that's, I think, when everybody went crazy, just like you said, because I was the same way. I was like, oh my gosh, that's right. That's right.
Of course you would do that.
Right.
And then, well, you're in the middle of being shocked by that, of being like that whole moment of like when a good mystery all falls into place and you realize how you could have known the whole time, but you didn't. Like, you're having that moment as she's spitting in Charlotte's face, and then Bianca wraps her up and you're like, oh my God.
Yeah, it's crazy. Phenomenal match. Tex, you missed out. I got to say, that was a phenomenal match.
I did see the highlights later. I'm not sure if I'm a fan of them knowing that we know that the X means an emergency and they're playing off of it.
Right.
I kind of feel like it's sacred. Like,
I did not see them put up the X. Colt, just in case you're not familiar, if a ref does this, they're telling the production room this is a real injury.
Oh, interesting.
But the fact that everybody now knows that kind of puts it in this gray area of like, maybe they don't want to use it because they know that everyone knows what it means, or maybe they might use it in kayfabe now since everybody knows what it means.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a murky thing now. But generally or traditionally, if a ref does this, it means real injury.
Oh,
so,
interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
But there was no X.
okay.
That I saw.
I thought I heard there was one.
There could have been one. I didn't see one.
I think Tex might have dreamt that.
Right.
He was dreaming. He was in
Probably.
La
It was
La
a
Land.
good
There's
nap.
been three. You might have seen 3 X's on the comedic jug of liquor that you were.
Yes, exactly. The cartoon comedic jug that only Tex and Goofy drink. Absolutely. Awesome match, though. Awesome match.
Now, so for predictions, none of us get a point, but Tex, you did predict that Io Sky would cash in and win.
Ooh.
So even though you do not recall the match, you did get a point during your slumber. So
that's the best way to go, Tex.
Yeah.
Sleep through it.
But Colt and I both agreed. We both predicted that Io Sky would cash in but lose. So we do not get a point.
Oh, there it is. All right. Very nice.
So believe it or not, I do not have a perfect score anymore. But I am ahead. I've got 6 points. Colt has 5. Tex has 5. It's very close.
Ooh, Tex. All right, buddy. All right, here we go.
And this
I might be in trouble on this one.
Brings us to the final match.
We shall see.
Roman Reigns defeats Jey Uso for the WWE title and the mantle of Tribal Chief in tribal combat.
Dun, dun, dun.
Which means no disqualifications.
Yes. There were a lot of questions about that.
Yeah.
Like, doesn't that mean like no one else can help? Well, then what's Solo doing out here? I thought it was just between these two.
To be fair, it did mean that 1 week. Just to be clear.
Right. Yes. Right. I could have sworn I heard that.
I've I've seen, like, I did that rant about it the other week,
Yeah.
but I've since seen other people rant about it on X.
Got you. On X, right. Dropping their X's.
Yeah, they've been
Formerly
Xing
known as
about it.
Twitter.
They've
Yes.
been Xing out some X's.
Oh,
So I was gonna
jeez.
re-exit, but I decided to just be
Exit stage left.
Yeah.
Not do it. I get it.
All right, so here we go. I know it's not me. It's one of you two. Let's say it's Colt. Give me your
Big
thought.
match.
Big match.
Big match of the night. Jey Uso. I think he's phenomenal. I think he's got that incredible energy. Roman Reigns, you can't deny his power. You can't deny the icon that he is for WWE. I mean, he is the icon. He is Roman Reigns, right? Acknowledge me.
He's the face of wrestling. I think we can all agree.
Yeah, he is. And not just in that movie with Jason Statham and The Rock, where he played the cousin. I don't know if it was Wallace and Gromit, or what was that name? Tango and Cash?
Wallace and Gromit.
Probably not.
Hobbs and Shaw.
Hobbs and Shaw. There it is.
Yeah.
Calvin and
Shaw.
Hobbs. Yeah.
Calvin and Hobbs. Right. Roman Reigns is amazing in Calvin and Hobbs. But I was impressed by Jey Uso. I thought, he's phenomenal. And at the end, I thought he might pull it off. And, the turn surprised me. The secret special guest at the end was a big surprise. Now, what did you guys think? So at the end of the match, Jey Uso's going to win. He's done by the way, I got to admit, incredible moment when Roman Reigns and Silo were going to do their double spear, move. And then Jey pulled Solo over and bam, he took the spear from Roman Reigns. That was amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing
cool
moment.
Cool moment.
Well, anyway, you guys go on. Let me hear what you guys think. So I thought it was a okay match. I thought it was okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is the reason why I wanted to talk about the fact that he is supposedly injured during this match, because my main critique of this match has been my critique of, like, basically this entire storyline for the last 2 months, which is like everything is just moving so slow. Like just a lot of like kind of like meandering and just like they basically took a match that would have been way more exciting if they did it in half the time. Like they could have, and they would have had time to do all the moves, right? Like there was a lot of and like, I mean, there's even the part where it was like kind of the weird moment where, like overall, I think it was a decent match, and I think it was a probably better match than it felt if Roman Reigns did this injured. Then props to him. But I think that like there's the turn was problematic for me. So Jimmy Uso comes out of nowhere and super kicks Jey Uso.
Right.
And then he stands there and looks at him for about 12 months.
Right.
And right. Like it reminded me of like the way WWE does like a punch in the balls, right? Like it's just like just hold it there so that like our viewers that are working with like 8 brain cells, so that it sinks into them what just happened. Like they're just like,
or they've had 4 to 5 Jack Daniels and Diet Cokes at this
right.
point.
Just make sure that like every complete idiot that it's sinking in what just happened. Right. Like
you saw his face, you know who it is.
Yeah. Like Joey Tribbiani finally gets it. Now you can move now. So like that was unfortunate for me. And I think like the turn, there are moments where you see turns like that and it's like, oh my God. I did not have that moment. In the moment I was like, wait, what?
Right.
Like, and I think I actually was like processing, like, does this make sense that and I was like, well, there are some things that they could say after the fact, maybe this Friday, that will make this make sense. But as it sits right now, this makes 0 sense that he did this. Like the whole storyline so far has been like, these two are like inseparable brothers. And so, he could come out on Friday and like, they could do an angle where he's been, Paul Heyman's been in his ear or whatever. But I don't know. I feel like they didn't really lay any breadcrumbs for it, which is going to make it not great in the best scenario. So
I thought his reasoning for it, because I didn't like it at all. And then I started thinking about it. I'm like, well, maybe Jimmy blames Jay for all this craziness. This is all Jay's fault. All this happened. The reason Jimmy's in the hospital, the reason like everything was going fine, but Jay had to stand up against Roman Reigns.
Right.
And if he just kept with everything, then everything would have been fine. This is all Jay's fault, maybe in Jimmy's mind.
Yeah, and I think I would hope that they're going to come out and say something along those lines in the next week or two. But
now, if you have been listening to this podcast for the last 4 weeks, I said Jimmy would do this. So that's why I wasn't a shock, because I told you about it.
There it is.
You don't think Triple H called me first and seeing if it was okay?
True.
He obviously didn't listen, because I absolutely thought it was the dumbest thing ever.
now, do you call him Hunter or Paul when you're talking?
I call him Helmsley.
Okay.
Between us, he's my buddy.
Okay.
Anyways,
That's awesome.
I thought this was a dumb decision. And I was like, what a great way to end this horrible card. Because let me tell you why it's horrible. I know what the play is. Jimmy versus Jay, WrestleMania. It's too far away. We got 6 months.
Yeah, they're going to wrestle sooner than that.
If you do this, you do it at Royal Rumble. So you can build to WrestleMania. Now, what are you going to build to now? Survivor Series? No one cares about Survivor Series. It's way too early. If they're going to keep this story going, they could have done it a better way.
I think that's the other unfortunate thing is like we've kind of like played out this interplay between these four individuals, right? Like Roman, Jimmy, Jay, and Solo. Like these four have been mixing it up for months now. We need some new blood in this bloodline story to keep it going. So
yeah,
I kind of like before he took the mask off, I was pretty excited because it could have been, who I thought it was going to be was Sami Zayn.
Oh, that would have been great.
In that moment. And that kind of predates you paying attention to this story, Colt. But Sami Zayn was integral in the Bloodline story up until WrestleMania. So
now, Roman did look like he didn't know it was going to happen. He gave that shocking, like, what is going on here?
Yeah, like it wasn't a plan all along.
Jimmy might still not be with him. It might be something else. They could. I really need to see what happens Friday. Luckily, they'll give me an hour and a half of it, so I'll really be able to dive into it.
Well,
this separates the Usos from Reigns, though, right? Because now it's going to be Jay versus Jimmy.
Yeah, it could have nothing to do with Roman at all, potentially.
Right. So that's a good thing.
Yeah.
So then Reigns can do his thing, and the Usos can do their thing.
Well, knowing Roman Reigns, he's probably going to disappear for a couple months now. So maybe they're going to carry SmackDown for a while.
Right.
Yeah.
And then like you were saying, then maybe you were saying about Cody Rhodes fighting Roman Reigns.
Yeah, I think that'll be WrestleMania.
For WrestleMania. Exactly.
We're still a long ways out from that, but that's, I think, where it's going to go.
Yeah. So this separates those two. So now they can take over SmackDown. Reigns can kick back and chill.
And LA Knight, and if LA Knight's getting a push, he can get more SmackDown time.
Yeah, yeah. Because
So,
now it's the Jay and Jimmy story. It's no longer the Jay versus everybody in Roman story.
yeah, for a while. And I think it's kind of, if we kind of look at the cadence of wrestling pay-per-views, WWE doesn't have a big pay-per-view for at least 2 or 3 months at this point. So yeah, they are probably going to do kind of B story. And I think a Jimmy versus Jay angle is maybe in their mind a good placeholder before they take the next major beat of the story that they have in mind with Roman Reigns.
How is Jimmy as a wrestler, by the way? I really have yet to really see him wrestle that much.
I think they're both very similar. Like
I think Jay's great.
They're awesome as a tag team. Like it's kind of I hope they get back together at some point and do tag team again. They are one of the great tag teams that are wrestling today.
Huh.
Yeah.
Or were.
Ooh.
But maybe will be again.
Interesting. Yeah, I was pretty shocked. I didn't like it at all. I was like, what? Why is that Jimmy? Like, what? I didn't like it. But then I thought later, I'm like, well, Jimmy's probably be like, it's your fault, Jay, why I was in the hospital and I was injured. And it's your fault, Jay, you went against the tribal leader and it's your fault. That's, I'm thinking, the angle they're going to take.
Yeah.
It's probably where they're going. I just don't like the fact that, if you remember, Jimmy's the one that kicked Roman. Jimmy's the one that started this. Jay told him not to, and Jimmy kicked him in the head and said, I did what you should have done.
Yeah. That's why it really it's again the same issue of like the same kind of like the same kind of raised eyebrow that I had when Cody shakes hands with Brock. Like it's like it doesn't really fit the story you've told us so far unless you give us some really big reason, So
because that's when he was like, you're out and I'm out too. And then he kicked Roman.
Yeah.
Roman took a lot of shots to the face at that time. I'm just saying, like every week. Yeah. He had a lot of Nike prints on the side of his face there for a while.
Yeah. All right. Well, we got to wrap up the show, but let's do a final tally for score. I predicted Roman Reigns would win. I get a point.
Oh, boy.
Colt, you predicted Jey Uso would win. Ooh, sorry, you don't get a point. And Tex, you predicted Roman Reigns would point. You get a point, but it's not enough. And new Wrestling is for Losers prediction champion.
Hold up. If you look at the very bottom, it says Randy Orton something.
Yeah, right.
They just announced he's having another baby. That's something. Give me a point.
We specifically said that wild card predictions were for bragging rights. You don't get a point.
Okay, well, I'm going to brag a lot.
I know
that. something is a baby, though. He's right.
Yeah.
And, some, we had a baby.
I mean, so what were these predictions in retrospect? Tex said extra stipulations on the Stratus Lynch match, which didn't happen. We thought it was going to.
Yeah.
Colt predicted LA Knight was going to wriggle his way into another match at some point.
I actually meant I wasn't thinking that this Royal Rumble would be at this event. So what I meant happened. So I was correct. That's a point for Colty.
Okay.
Good job.
Right.
Good job.
Tex predicted extra stipulations on Cody Brock. Didn't happen. I predicted Bray Wyatt would show up at Cody Brock. Didn't happen. And Tex predicted something would happen with Randy Orton, but was not specific.
Yeah.
Something. Just a bunch of BS.
Yes.
He was supposed to be there.
All right.
All right. Come on now, Boots. Let's hear the tally.
The tally is 7 points for Shoe Boots, 5 points for Coltrane, and 6 points for Texas Crazy Horse.
Oh!
Coltrane, you did come in dead last, but it was not a massacre. You did better than you've done before. So
right. I'm learning.
Yeah.
All right. It's a learning computer. Right. I'm getting better. Well, congratulations, Shoe Boots, on becoming the new Wrestling is for Losers champion, Shoe Boots.
Yeah. So we'll play this again. Maybe it all in, maybe it all out, maybe at some WWE. We'll decide. But I think I might pull a Roman Reigns and just hold on to the belt for 100 days without defending it.
Perfect. Exactly.
That's not fair.
Just walk around with your arm up holding the number one. Just do that for a good 15 to 20 minutes.
So little note before we go. Our next week, we are done talking about our big WWE program. So we're going to do a bit of a one-off next week, and I've got some ideas for the weeks after. But next week, everybody's talking about the Cody Rhodes documentary. Yes. We are going to watch it if we haven't watched it already. And next week is going to be all about Cody Rhodes. We're going to talk about him. You're welcome to go back and watch any parts of his career that interest you or read about them. But we're going to use the documentary as sort of a centerpiece for next week's discussion so that everybody has like an easy, digestible kind of summary of his career. And we'll just give a talk about him. And I don't want to say specifically what. I'm personally really interested about the idea that he went to AEW and then back to WWE, but I haven't seen the doc yet, so we'll see what we get into after seeing it. That's the focus. After that, we're going to be getting close to AEW's big Wembley show. I thought it might be fun. We'll talk about this. I thought it might be fun maybe not next week because we're doing Cody Rhodes, but maybe the week after we might bridge the gap and do an episode where we talk about the last time WWE was at Wembley Stadium, which was SummerSlam 1992.
Oh,
so
wow.
maybe we could go watch SummerSlam 1992 We just talked about SummerSlam. We got Wembley coming up. We could see when WWE had SummerSlam at Wembley. That could be fun.
Is that Brett Bulldog?
Brett Bulldog was the Intercontinental title match. Very famous match. Yeah.
Wow.
So
Ooh.
that could be fun. We'll decide if we want to do that. But yeah, that's the plan for next week. So if you're listening at home or watching at home, or well, it doesn't really matter where you're watching or listening. If you're watching or listening, hey, go watch that Cody Rhodes doc before next episode, and then you'll know what the hell we're talking about.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah.
It's going to be awesome. I want to hear about his history. I'm still learning about everything.
Yeah.
I want to hear all about Dusty Rhodes. Is that the name? And
Yep.
Yeah, I feel like next week, depending on how informative this doc is, there'll probably be a good chunk of us sort of filling you in on some stuff. But
Yeah, it's
I
gonna be
feel
great.
like this is going to give you a good primer on him. Where is the doc? Easy in chat asks. It is on Peacock, right?
Yes.
yes,
If you're American, it's on basically wherever you get WWE Network content in whatever country you're in. It's part of their stuff. So, yeah, and everyone's saying really good things about it. Yeah, okay.
You're
we're
a
not
Cornette
repeating
fan.
that, chat room. We're not repeating that.
Someone's a Cornette fan.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to get going because we went long, but it's been a really fun show, so I don't care. Folks, if you want to write to us, you can write at wrestlinglosers@gmail.com. You can tweet me at the shoe boots. We'll be back next week with episode 17. Thank you so much. But that's going to do it for me. For Tex, for Colt. Later, losers.